Hello everyone, Miss Carrie here from Miss Carrie's Creations. Today's scrapbook project is a simple grid design that I created using one of the July Not Just for Boys Kit Club kits. In this tutorial, I'll share a few tips for designing a grid layout and share some new techniques that you can use on your future projects. I'm working with the Journey Limitless kit from Not Just for Boys Kit Club. This is an amazing collection filled with outdoor and rustic patterns and prints. In this kit, you'll also receive a cardstock cut that says flannels and bonfires, a wood slice stencil, a package of ephemera, and some phrase stickers. In my previous video, I shared all of the prints that are included in this kit. If you missed out on that video, I'll place a link in the description below, along with a list to the supplies I'm using today. I have chosen this topographical map pattern as a frame for the layout. I cut the white cardstock at 10 inches so that quite a bit of this pattern shows around the layout. There are quite a few busy patterns in the Journey collection, so I've decided to break them down and create a grid pattern design for my page. What inspired me to do this was this cut apart from paper rose. This is included in the Journey kit, and it's perfect for your grid layouts. When you're designing a grid, you want to use a consistent color scheme. For this fishing layout, I chose an analogous color combination of blue, yellow, and green. I was only able to snag one photo of the boys fishing that day, so I need to make sure that this is the focal point of the page. One of the ways that I can do this is by adding frames around the photo, which is going to draw your eye to that part of the layout. When I create grid designs, I try to avoid a bold, blocky appearance. Using a variety of grid sizes and embellishment shapes like these frames helps create a little bit of visual interest. These items are also going to work as anchors for my embellishments and lead your eye throughout the layout. I'm going to adhere my main grid elements in place so that I can bring in a few embellishments. Like most of you would have done, I cut out the center of that background paper. I always have to laugh at myself each time I do this. It's not like I'm going to run out of paper anytime soon. To give that cardstock a rougher appearance, I am using a distressing blade on the edges. This is a tiny metal tool that I have in my creative space. It's actually a fisherman's tool designed to cut fishing line, but it works great for distressing paper and cutting thread and twine. I'm also going to bend and curl and tear two of the sides here. When I do this, I like to create the distressing on opposite sides of the page so that they create almost a diagonal line. This is just another way to lead the eye across the layout. When you adhere items in place on a grid, it's best to grab yourself a ruler or draw out the grid with a pencil. You want to make sure that the elements you are adding are nice and square and equidistant from each other, or your grid is going to appear a bit off. Now, these designs are great for people who have OCD like me because everything lines up beautifully, but sometimes it does take me a moment to get everything in place perfectly. Grid designs are balanced and symmetrical, which is probably why I like them so much. It is important that all the items are aligned along the grid lines because you want that composition to stay in balance. Now, that doesn't mean that you can't mix and match elements on the page. Grid designs are very versatile and can be adjusted to suit a wide range of styles. All right, now that I have all these items laid out, I'm going to go off camera and add a little bit of stitching to my design, and then I'll bring in my embellishments. Now that I added those stitching lines, you can see that that grid pattern really comes to life. And not only do these lines emphasize the grid pattern, they also bring some great texture to the page. For my title, I'm going to use this MDF badge, which is available in a 2-pack in the Not Just for Boys shop. The MDF elements from Not Just for Boys come with removable tape, which is left on in order to enable some mixed media coloring. I like the look of that rough MDF, so I'm going to remove this layer of tape before I add any color. Now, I left some of this tape on the title to use it as a sort of mask. I'm going to use a blender brush and add a small amount of ink to this, but you can also color these with sprays, paint, watercolor pencils, or markers. Real quick, I just wanted to remind you to go ahead and tap that like icon if you're enjoying today's project. When you tap the thumbs up or comment below, it helps me know which types of videos you enjoy. You can also help me out by tapping the subscribe button or the super thanks icon. I always appreciate your support. Now that I've added the ink, I'm going to go ahead and remove the mask. You can probably see that the paper did pick up some of the ink, which it's designed to do. So if you would rather add your color to this paper, you can do that. I did want a more subtle color variation for my layout because I feel like this works well with my outdoor theme. Grid designs are great at helping you emphasize certain elements within the design. Because I only have one photo, I'm going to use this larger title piece and place it in a prominent position, which is going to draw your eye to the focal point on that page. The last step is to bring in all my embellishments, most of which came from this cut apart page in the kit. Photos, stickers, and cutouts within the grid can be mixed and matched to tell a story or showcase a particular theme. This memory is of our boys fishing in the Rocky Mountains, so most of my items are going to be centered around that theme. As I add items to the grid, I'm going to bring in ones that fit within the color scheme. A designated color palette creates a sense of balance and symmetry, and it also makes the selection process go a lot quicker when you're digging through all of your embellishment items. I am still following the rule of threes and creating visual triangles on this grid design. Most of this is going to be done with pine trees because the photo has a large cluster of trees. I'll also place some of the green color in each cluster to lead your eye around the page. So as I add the last items to the page, I need to make sure that I'm replicating a few shapes in my embellishment clusters. I brought in some circle elements with the 2 compasses, and now I'm adding a circle frame. Not only do these create a nice visual triangle, they also bring in a more organic touch and soften the overall industrial feel that grid designs can have. All right, I'm going to finish adding a few more items to this page, and then I'll share the completed layout with you. Here is that completed page without journaling. I'll be adding that below the title. On this layout, I created an analogous color scheme of yellow, blue, and green, but I realized that the only yellow was the frame piece. So I brought in more of the yellow color with enamel dots. Not only does this add more of the color, they also do a great job of leading your eye organically through the layout. I'm going to share a few close-ups of this design so that you can see all the wonderful details. Grid designs are one of my favorite arrangements. They have a clean, simple aesthetic and can be assembled quickly. Grid designs are also customizable, which means that you can adjust the size and spacing of this layout to suit your photos. This design incorporates elements from the Not Just for Boys Journey Kit, which is an amazing collection of outdoor and rustic patterns that were perfect for this outdoor memory. I hope this project inspired you to give a grid design a try. If you're one who enjoys pinning photos to inspiration boards, I have added still shots of this layout on the Not Just for Boys Kit Club blog and on my website for you to use. If you would like more ideas for using this kit, you can join the Not Just for Boys Kit Club community on Facebook and see even more designs. I want to thank you for joining me for another scrapbook project. If you have any questions about this project or the supplies listed below, feel free to post that in the comments. I hope that you have a wonderful week, and I can't wait to see what you create.